And we are live with my good friend Garth Schultheis. I said that right?
Yes, sir.
And One Big Fire. And thank you for coming to another episode. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. This is going to be a great episode where we go over strategies to not only build passive income, but generational wealth and save in taxes. Buckle up. Garth's got the answers. This is going to be great. Hang on.
Here's the big question.
How are agents like us,
who didn't get an opportunity to invest in a franchise early,
who are spending time and money to sell homes,
building someone else's saleable asset?
How do we grow a business but still build wealth?
Have an exit strategy
and get a piece of the pie that's not dependent
on us working more hours and every weekend?
That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
My name is Jay Kinder.
My name is Al Stasek.
And I'm Michael Reese. We are your hosts, and welcome to the One Big Fire podcast.
Garth, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Al.
Absolutely. I've been really looking forward to this because the truth of it is, you know, our episodes really do focus a lot on, you know, the EXP value proposition, which is the best value proposition on earth if you're a real estate agent to grow your business. This episode is going to be a little different. The principles are the same, right? What you heard in that little quick intro is that, you know, how do you build a business with an exit strategy? What if you missed out on the opportunity to buy a franchise? You're working your tail off, selling houses, and then next year,
in the grind,
you got a great year. You sold 50, 60, 70, 80 homes. Great job. Awesome. What do we do next year? Do it again. And if you're working for a franchise or another broker, all you're really doing is building their sellable asset. And you really have, we could work our tails off, have a really nice practice that's really worth nothing after 20 or 30 years. No one's going to come and pay you what it should be, worth. Therefore, you have to think outside the box. What other alternative ways can we start to grow the generational wealth, build passive income? Yes, the EXP platform is great for all of those things, but we're speaking to the person who maybe you're already here. Maybe you're already doing really well. Maybe you've already hit your freedom number, or maybe you're at a different brokerage and you're cranking away. You're making a really good income. We can do that as real estate agents. The income piece is pretty easy to get once you understand marketing and once you understand systems and you can work with people and you're not an a-hole.
Right.
Pretty good in this business without being rocket science. But then what? And that's why we brought you on the show. Welcome to the show, Garth.
Hey, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I got into real estate investing, real estate business, all because of my older brother. He's 10 years older than me. He was trying to figure out what to do. He was reading books about how to buy stuff, no money down, back in 1987. I had just started college. He started doing some real estate. 1989, he actually was able to, he got like 27 units back in Indiana. And he was like, man, you ought to do this stuff with me. You ought to do it with me. So I started, looking into that in the summers, working with him. And then when I got out of college, I swallowed my pride. Maybe I didn't have too many job offers either, but I moved in with my brother and he had bought the place wrong. And he ended up buying some more units, but we had 42 units that he and I ran, and we did we had to do the maintenance, the leasing, everything to make any money. And I was just doing it for room and board, hoping that we could start building a real estate portfolio. So we ended up moving to Colorado in 92, chasing this market out here. We got lucky, man. We were just young and dumb, and we didn't get hurt in the last cycle, and so we were able to actually practice and learn how to buy stuff when there weren't anybody else buying, in 1992. So that was 6-7 years after the Reagan 86 tax laws changed everything and crushed investors, and so everybody stopped building. Anyways, so ended up in Durango, Colorado, where I am now. And have been here since 1994, and had gotten married and moved down here a month after my wife and I were married. My brother and I were able to get 98 units down here. And so I was going to come down, and I did, and clean them up, fix them up, add value, raise the rents, lower the expenses, everything you do to create value.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then we flipped them for $1 million more than what we paid for them 3.5 years later. But
just to put some context for people that are listening to this that
Yeah.
don't know Durango, Colorado.
Yeah.
Let's put it in a little bit of context. I know Durango, and in fact, I haven't been there. It's on my list of places to snowboard and ski, but it's not some big, huge metropolis city. Describe a little bit about your market.
Yeah, so we ended up here anyways because we were on the Front Range originally. I didn't say that. We were in Fort Collins. And so we were able to knock down a deal or two. The second deal wasn't as good. But then all of a sudden, we had about a 2-year reprieve. And then all of a sudden, investors started flooding the market, And so we were like, let's start looking on the Western Slope. There's like 2 main cities on the Western Slope, Durango and Grand Junction, that aren't seasonal. And so, our town is 18,000 people. Our county is, 45,000, 50,000 people. But it's always had a strong rental market because there's not a lot of places to build. That hill you see right there, that's BLM. You can't build on that. So there's some built-in restrictions. And then anyway, so we did really well here. But I got burnt out, for that 3.5 years, you're on the front lines and stuff. And I had no mentors except my brother. My brother and I ended up deciding not to. He moved to California, and anyways, we sold the place. I had $500,000. I tried to 1031 exchange it. I should have. I didn't have any mentors to tell me don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, I got $500,000. I can retire. And that, as you know, once you pay taxes, and then I don't have an income, so I go, oh God, we got to do something. We want to stay in Durango. So I had a couple $100,000 left over. I said, I'll get my real estate license. The guy who helped me, he doesn't seem, I seem as smart as him. I can sling some real estate. I get into real estate. I started with Prudential and, started grinding, started making money, started working with builders, investors, developers. And my thought was always, I want to get back into apartments because I knew that's how you build generational wealth. That's how you build real equity, at least from what I know how to do that. But I got sucked in, in the good years, 2001, 2, 3, and I started partnering with developers, and which was a great thing when it was working. But then 2008, 2009, man, when the bank goes under, the bank out of Aspen we were working with, they went under, and they can't send you the construction money. Now we got to pay $35,000 a month. What was producing income is now a liability for me. And so went through some really hard years. And long story.
Can I ask you quick? Let's unpack that for a quick second.
Yeah.
Because I went through that myself. I survived it. I was beat up, black-eyed, bloodied, coming through that collapse. And I even had to short sell one of my houses. My credit scores dropped because of that one.
Oh yeah, I went bankrupt.
Yeah, and so hey, nothing to be ashamed of. That a lot of people got hit hard. What was the one thing that you learned? Because the strategy that we're going to talk about today should be recession proof.
Yes.
If the market does take another tank, and I don't see it taking a tank like that in the near future, but if it were to,
we didn't think that in 2006 either.
What was it? Yeah. What was it that if you were to do something like either one thing different or two in buying real estate,
going through all that, and when you're like, because I had this survival mode where like year 2, 3, and then 5 years into it, I'm still in survival mode. I'm making 6 figures, but I'm working 20 hours a day, and then I realized. And then I was scared to go back and do anything else like with investments and stuff like that personally. But then I realized, hey, I actually know what I'm doing. And then I just evaluated, okay, what did I do wrong and why? So I focused too much, as far as my real estate business, I focused too much on just development, builders, investors, fix and flips. That was 80% of my business. Didn't focus on, friends and family as much because, and then I got involved in speculation developments. So right or wrong, and you can make a lot of money and people make a lot of money in developments. But for me, in my little world, I don't know any developers that stay rich. Then sooner or later they get burned in the cycle. You know, it's usually a 7-year cycle, and you're relying on banks. And when the banks, and they'll pull the rug out from under you. It doesn't even have to make sense to you and me, but they'll be like, "Yep, money stopped." Well, we're in the middle of framing. If we build it and finish it and sell it, we can keep going. No.
So got it.
Speculation and then
speculation. Got it.
And then also I needed to focus. I was 40 at the time. Need to start rebuilding my passive income. Because when I have passive income, I have time to think. I have time to be creative. And so I had to work doubly hard at my job, selling real estate. And I had a foreclosure business I built up at the time to create space to where I could go out and buy. I went back and I was able to purchase 16 units. And then that replaced 30% of my working income. To where now it's like, okay, 30% potentially of my time, I can focus on start adding 40% and 50% and 60%. And with the goal, like we talk about in EXP, and that's why I love EXP. And I was so attracted to it. Wish I had it. Wish EXP existed 20 years ago. Probably wouldn't have gone through as much pain as that.
You and me too, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, that's on a side note with EXP. Like, I don't know if that's really a side note, but that's the beauty. If you didn't do anything except join EXP, you have built-in stock and revenue share and things like that I believe organically are going to happen if you're just slinging real estate. So at a minimum, that's a great place to start. But what I want to do, and what you and I've talked about, is that does start to create generational wealth. But how do you do it faster? And then the awesome thing about EXP is, dude, so many people, everybody I know has a lot of money in EXP. I've attracted agents a year ago, and they've been selling real estate. And, you know, when the stock went up, and I know it's adjusted and stuff, but all of a sudden they had $100,000 sitting in their account, you know?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that $100,000? You want to keep it there? I mean, it just gives you options, man. Yeah. And then you start getting this revenue share. You start getting time and energy to be able to start focusing on, hey, let's really build this, you know, let's build this for our kids. And that's, I mean, to be honest, you talk about generational wealth. I have everything I need, but I get excited thinking about my kids and growing with them and building something to hand to them.
We're about to get into the good stuff right now.
Yeah.
And I want to tell everyone, if you're listening on this, stick around, because he's going to actually Garth's going to unpack, you know, we're talking about people that have already done really well and they have this great income from commissions coming in, but that right there isn't sustainable. You have to keep selling.
The grind.
How do you take that great income and parlay that into being able to build passive income through multifamily? That's what we're talking about, through multifamily buildings. But if you don't have that big income coming in, Garth's going to, at the end of this, Garth's going to share a strategy that he's been able to get multiple multifamily deals using the commission that he earns on that particular deal with no actual money out of his pocket, and completely legit, no high risk. And he's going to reveal that at the end. And so if you like this, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and give me a follow, and there's going to be more of this. So back into it. Garth, let's dig into the good stuff. Let's give them the handles to the luggage. We're talking about multifamily, how to acquire multifamily apartments. I also want you to talk to the person like me who maybe I have some money that I need to invest, but I don't want to deal with I don't want to get the calls from tenants and all that other stuff. Strategy we're going to reveal for that too. So go right ahead.
Well, and to touch on that, I wish somebody told me 20 years ago when I sold that place, or when I was getting burned out. You know, you get burned out on the day-to-day, and you're like, I want to just get out of multifamily because this thing, it sucks. I don't want to get these calls. Well, you don't have to. You can put people in place and build a structure to where they handle that. You know, you have a buffer. And so someone like you're busy with other things, but you have money to invest. There's lots of people so what I did to kind of rebuild is I was the operator, and that's kind of without revealing too much too soon. But if you don't have any money and you're a real estate agent, you're already there. You just don't even know it, because it's just about leveraging your commission, leveraging the current relationships that you have with sellers and buyers, which if you've been in the business long enough, there's certain sellers and buyers become friends, you hang out with, and you really enjoy doing business with. Why not partner with them? Why not bring them in as investors? All of us, rather than just trying to sell them something else, like get them to invest with you. And that's with EXP. That's the beauty of that, is there's this collaboration that I've never seen anywhere else. And so I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Al, I got this deal that I'm looking at. So it's all about partnering and collaboration. So someone like yourself, you just need to know someone like me. And there's other people like me. I know that, you and I were talking about that. You're looking at a deal. Yeah. So what did you have a question?
So let's just talk about, the advantages. Obviously, everybody knows, if you know anything about real estate, if you own an apartment building, and it cash flows, you're going to build the wealth because the equity is going to be growing while you're reducing your debt, paying that off.
Yeah.
It also provides a really great tax shelter or benefits. I don't know. We're not tax advisors here, by the way, but it does.
Right.
The tax code is written. There's a benefit in the tax code specifically for multifamily. I'd like to dig into that. But acquiring these properties and then obviously you want to buy them at the right price. We're not talking about overpaying for properties. Let's say that someone finds a deal. Okay. It got referred to them. And the way to find deals often is what you just said earlier, is let the people know you're looking for deals. Let them know. Let everyone in your circle know, hey, look, if you know anybody who has apartment buildings and they're looking to get rid of them, I'm buying. And just get that message out there, and then you'll start to get some referrals coming in. Let's say someone found it. What does a good deal look like?
Well, it depends on your market, so I'll be the first to say I don't know your market. And so I'm a big believer in sticking to what I know. Not that I'm willing to go outside my sphere, but so far I don't have to.
Right.
And it's because I have done that. I've bought places in outside, like I've had investments in Cheyenne and Albuquerque, and they never were that as great as I thought they were, because there was always something I was like, oh, I missed that because I'm not in the market.
But let's do
to find those. What does a good deal look like?
Yeah, like we're talking second grade math. Explain it to me so I can understand. I'm not the sharpest knife here, but
Right.
like, let's just say they know the market. The first thing is you got to know the rents. How many? What kind of quick math do you do in your mind to where a couple hours looking at this deal, you're like, this is a deal. This is at this price.
Well, when you just look at, first thing I do is I look at what are the rents, and if you know your market area, what are the market rents? Okay. So if you want to find something, and there's a lot of those, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of mom and pop properties that people, all they own is this 20 unit, this 40 unit, and they just suck the life out of this place, and they haven't been reinvesting, and then they're scared to raise the rents because they like the people and they're friends with them and stuff like that. They just don't know how to do it because they don't have the experience. But yeah, finding like a mom and pop place where the rents are low, or you go in there and you could add some amenities that they don't have now, like a pool or a gym or different things. Looking for opportunities, looking for creative things to add value to it where you could ask for more money. The other thing is with expenses. So I know that like 3 deals ago, I was looking at the deal, and it's just a standard 48 unit apartment complex. I know how this runs. The bank will run the numbers at 35% expenses. I know I can do it for 20% if I'm managing it, right? So their expenses were 52%. And so I'm like, oh,
well, let's explain what you're saying, because it's going over some people's heads. I know it.
Yeah.
You're talking about 52% was the percentage of expenses versus income coming in on a monthly basis.
Yes, or annual, based on the gross rents.
Got it.
That makes sense. So if it was bringing in 10 grand a month, it was 5,200 a month in expenses.
Wow.
For my area, and so there's going to be different things. I know, like in Texas, the property taxes are a lot higher than anywhere else. And so you have to, certain things you have to know in your market to take into account. In my area, 35%, that's what the bank, they'll run those numbers. And banks are the safest investors on the planet. So if the bank is doing it, then that's probably an accurate number. So yeah, I'm looking at those expenses. I can reduce those expenses. I can raise the rents. And then here's another, for every $10,000 a month, I can raise the rents. That's approximately $1 million in equity.
All right,
So
let's talk about that, because on our last call, that caught my attention. This is a get, everybody. So what Garth's saying is that let's just say you find a property that's bringing in $20,000. This is gross rents per month, right? Or is it per year?
yes,
Per month. And you know that it's low. I was one of those landlords years back where I was afraid to raise rents. You know, the girl that was renting was a friend of mine, you know, and she was just getting a great deal, but she cut the grass and did this. I mean, I wasn't the best I was a cool landlord, but I wasn't the smart landlord. So I was an example. So you know that those rents are all low. Let's say, for example, that the average rent was coming in at, say, you know, $600 per unit or whatever, and you know it should be going for $800-900 per unit in that area. There's other places that are doing that you have the potential at that point from going from 20,000 to 30,000 in gross, and that increases the value of that asset, that building, by $1 million according to the bank. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's a rule of thumb. You know, there's other variables, but yeah, that's a great rule of thumb. Because the way and that's one of the things that I'll offer people is just what I use for property valuations. It's just a simple Excel spreadsheet where you just can plug numbers in. And what I do is I have a page that has current rents, then you put in potential rents, and you put in the landlord's expenses, and then you can look at those expenses, make phone calls to the insurance company, verify these different expenses, see if you can do it less, and then what it does is it shows you what the value will be. And it's not about selling it, because that's not my goal. I've done that. And what happens when you sell your property? Well, you don't have any more income producing assets. Right. But the beauty is you can go refinance that. Mm-hmm. So, and could that change in the future? Yes. But this has been like this for quite a while. So like that particular deal that was 48 units, we bought it for $4.2 million. And then it reappraised in 12 months after we did our magic, lower the expenses, raise the rents, do some fix up, for $6.2 million.
So it increased.
Yeah, because income properties all based on the numbers, period. It doesn't, they look a little bit like they don't want to see deferred maintenance and stuff, but it's not like residential housing where it's like, I like this, so I'm willing to pay $1 million, Right. And it's not necessarily based on sales.
Can we talk about that deal? Because I think that particular deal is a good one to break down for people. Is that one of the deals that you were actually be able to acquire with none of your own cash?
Correct. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So you found the deal. Let's just the down and dirty, and we're running a little bit late on time, and I want to get right down into it. So this is the people on that are listening, like, I don't have a couple $100,000 laying around. I don't have the assets to put a down payment down, okay? But you're a real estate agent with a license. So there's two ways Garth's going to share with you right now, right? Garth, one is obviously you can raise capital through investors, find someone like myself, or B, being able to leverage your commission. So let's talk about both of those. Let's tell everyone how you did the 48 unit. You found a building. Right. Let's say how you found it, and let's go from there.
Well, and I'll say too, it could be 4 units or it could be 48 units. This will work on any of those. So don't be overwhelmed by saying, I have to buy $4.2 million worth of real estate. But that's a good one because, you're talking about millions of dollars. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I actually found this. It just came up on the MLS, and I have searches that ding me. When anything that's apartment related, motel related, I get immediately, I get notified, right? Just like any other realtor. But I know and I look at it real quick and I go, that doesn't come around very often. I'll have an offer in an hour or less. So I just Johnny on the spot. There were 6 other offers. That particular deal just took a lot of persistence because the seller was this. She had received generational wealth from her father, And so she was an international attorney. She didn't really care about it. So she didn't respond. So she just blew off these other offers. I just stuck with it. And I happened to know the realtor and who was the listing agent. And he said, don't worry, Garth. But for 4.5 months, we actually had nothing written down that we were under contract. Talk about some stressful nights. But
it was 48. We got it. What were they asking? What was the asking price?
They were asking, I believe it was like 4.6, I believe.
Okay.
And the rents were super low. They had managers there, sweet older couple. They were like literally 80 and 81. They did everything. And their value was they wanted to provide the best place in Durango for the cheapest rent. That was their value. And they felt really good about themselves. And then they paid themselves really well to do these nice things with the owner's income. She didn't care too much about it. So she was just like, whatever, it's running, it's full, blah, blah, blah. She missed out big time because she didn't know it's like money laying on the ground. Right. Sure. So anyways, so we came in and then we were able to, adjust things and raise the rents, and they were ready to retire. They're already old enough. And so
you purchased it for $4.2 million.
And so what I did was I had no money. I still have bankruptcy on my credit. What do I do? Well, I know the first thing you got to do is you got to get this thing under contract, or you got to get control of it. And the good thing is I have people know who I am in town. So if I write an offer, they're not going to go, well, can you afford to do this? Can you do that? Because they know I have investors, right? So anyway, so I write an offer, and they were offering a 2% commission, which was, I think, was like $80,000. But I thought, man, I want to have more into it than that. So I negotiated the deal. I wrote an offer contingent on a 5% commission to me, the buyer's agent, and wrote up a quick LLC you can do online in 2 minutes. Use that as my LLC, did everything you need with that. And I actually offered him less. So the seller's aware, this is what the commission is. This is what your bottom line will be. We negotiated something less than the listing price. Does it still have to appraise? Yes, it does. So there's still some challenges, but as a real estate agent, it's real simple. Be transparent about everything that you're doing. And then I start looking for investors, right? And first thing I tell them, hey, this is what you're doing. And they go, well, what's your value? Well, I'm going to run it. I know how to do it. I have operations experience, and this is what it's going to be worth. Well, how much money are you going to put down? Well, at 5%, it's $200,000. You go, well, that's not real money. Well, yeah, it is, because when we close, there's going to be $200,000 cash as a credit at closing. Right. And so you have to sell yourself as knowledgeable and of value. And that's what I learned over the years too. I used to just do it like, all I got is 30 grand. I'll be that. And I put the whole deal together. But now it's like, I realize there's value in finding these deals. There's value in once you control those deals, because deal flow is everything. And that's a big part of what I do also, which we can talk about later. But if you don't have the flow of deals to you to look at, then you're never going to find. I had $200,000 built in because of my commission. I found a guy who put $800,000 down. There was a lot of work in that, but so we put $1 million down. But when we refinanced it, we were able to pull $1 million back out. I'm a 30% owner based on the value that I bring to the table. So when we cashed out, we basically had the loan we got a new loan a year later for $4.2 million. My partner got $700,000. I got $300,000, and that was tax-free money because it's a loan, right?
Wow.
But it's still cash flows. We still make a couple $100,000.
That's amazing. And that math is great. But in the 12 months that after you closed and you owned the property, I think we talked about this and I know the answer, but the 200 and the 800, was that down payment money, or did you put some of that money toward capital improvements?
For this one we did not. We didn't need any. I knew that as I raised the rents progressively over the year, we'd have the cash flow. And so for the first year, we didn't take any money out. But I just built up the cash flow and actually did the capital and the CapEx with the cash flow. And I did another deal like that. Not my most recent deal, but year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that we bought for $6 million. We got an offer on it for $13 million. We turned down. And so we're working on refinancing it right now. We actually already refinanced it once and pulled out $2 million. But we know we can pull some more money out, and there's some great Fannie Mae non-recourse loans out there that just take a lot more effort and energy to get done.
That's amazing, man. So I'm jotting notes down, just so you know. And I was on our last call too. And I, again, for the people that are listening in on this, I want, Mike Reese always said, let's give them the handles to the luggage, meaning like, what can I can sink my teeth into. So this is a deal that anybody could really done. I mean, you did have experience doing it, and it's a big deal, but we're talking about you acquired a 48-unit apartment building that
none of my money.
Right. The lady that owned it inherited it. And there's a lot of this out there. You just got to find it, everybody. The lady inherited it from, family or father, whoever. And she was an attorney. She made good money. She had her own career, wanted really nothing to do with it. So she had this older couple, that were keeping rents real low, just barely maintaining it. And you knew that you could raise those rents. So you go in, you got the property under contract for $4.2 million. You negotiated that price with a 5% commission.
Yes.
Which gives you $200,000 now of a commission that you foregoed and decided not to take. You parlayed that into your down payment, found another investor. You put $1 million down, which is a nice down payment. So the bank liked that.
Yeah.
And then took the capital improvements. Instead of taking the cash flow out, you put it right back in. You were able to raise the rents unit by unit by unit over the next 12 months until the average rents went up. I'm assuming over it had to go over $20,000 a month. You probably raised them. Would that
I'm trying to remember. We're at it brings in around $55,000 now, and when we took it over, it was like $28,000 or something.
Right. So again, going back to your rule about
there you go,
$1,000 a month.
Yeah,
it raises the value of that piece of capital by $1 million. The bank then said, you know what, we're gonna give you another loan. It's basically a cash out refinance. You got your down payment back. He got almost all of his down payment back, and you have a fully improved piece of property that's operating at a high level. Probably very little, if no vacancies. I'm imagining,
especially after we're full.
Yeah, you have a true asset that's now kicking out passive income. You use none of your own capital, everything above board. And that's just amazing. This is just a strategy that anybody could, learn it. It's a matter of, do you want to learn it? So when we're talking about freedom, you talked about it a little bit earlier, Garth. Why do we work? We work our tails off so that we can have more freedom. But what we find out in this real estate business is that the more successful we become, the less time that we have, because we're sucked into our business. And so, listen, if you're out there thinking, how can I grow my real estate business to actually have more time freedom, which is, I'm sure, why a lot of people, you got your real estate license. If you're interested in that, hit the onebigfire.me. I'll connect you with Garth. Reach out to Garth. If you're interested in being a passive investor like I am in these deals, where you're going to get massive returns on your investment, unlike leaving your money in the bank, reach out to us. We'll take care of you. And Garth, man, appreciate you coming aboard and sharing all this.
Yeah, that's my heart. Because I've been there. I've been in the grind and trying to make it happen again. And with EXP, it's just given me a greater opportunity and actually a greater platform to be able to, I love real estate agents and those ones that are out there busting their butt. I want to show them how they don't have to die selling real estate.
Thank you. Amen.
Yeah,
you don't have to. Yeah. Well, we talked about it too, is that back in the day, the only retirement parties we would go to is the funeral. That's right. And that's just a sad reality. So it doesn't have to be that way. Hit us up at onebigfire.me. Appreciate you, Garth. Appreciate you sharing, man. You're a great human individual. Reach out to Garth. And as we say, Kindery Stasek, we'll see you at the top or from the top. Have a great day.